Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. I never imagined a casual dinner party might shake the foundation of my comfortable life. At 57, I had discovered a pleasant tempo: quiet evenings with my husband Mark, retired mornings in the garden, and afternoons reading historical novels. Having been married for more than 30 years, I believed our days of surprises were behind us. How wrong I had been. Originally, it was a Friday night dinner organized by Mark's old friend Jeff and his wife Allison. Around 48, Jeff was a young, friendly, and smart guy with great silver hair and a confident presence that filled every room. Our meetings had mostly been corporate events, hence we had known them informally for several years. Allison was a great host. She was warm and naturally graceful. I liked how she could turn even simple meals into events. Their home was a nice suburban colonial with a well-kept shrubs and welcoming front porch. As we walked in, hidden speakers played soft jazz to complement the smell of roasted garlic and fragrant herbs from the kitchen. Candles glowed brightly on the dining table, softly casting shadows over the beige and pale blue walls. I was soon calmed by the nice ambiance. Allison said, her voice as soothing as the jazz melodies around us, "Come on in, Melanie. So glad you made it." Her genuine friendliness soothed my worry, and she held me closely. Grinning broadly, I answered, "Thanks, Allison. The scent in here is nice." Sitting around the dinner table, Jeff poured wine, and his deep voice guided us through humorous anecdotes from his recent international trip. Conversation flowed easily, and laughter came effortlessly. Mark was clearly pleased, enjoying the opportunity to unwind from his hectic job. When dessert, a lovely chocolate mousse topped with raspberries, was served, Jeff caught my eye. "Melanie, Mark said you are a terrific gardener. My roses aren't exactly thriving, so I could use some guidance." Flattered by his acknowledgement, I grinned quietly. "Jeff, I wouldn't call it skill. Rather, it's patience. But I'd be happy to look." "Great. Perhaps after dinner." His eyes lingered for a bit, and I felt a little warmth starting to build up my neck. I pushed the sensation aside, believing I was dreaming. After dessert, Jeff took me through a sliding door onto a big patio drenched in lovely moonlight. The delicate aroma of jasmine flowers from Allison's garden beds mingled with the soft whisper of the chilly evening breeze through surrounding trees. Mark and Allison remained inside, engrossed in conversation about holiday sites. Jeff walked me to a row of roses struggling under thin outside lighting lines. Examining the leaves, he bent down and beckoned for me to join him. Jeff asked, his voice softer and full of genuine interest, "See how the edges are turning yellow?" Aware of our proximity, I leaned forward. My heart began to race for no obvious reason. Aware of our proximity, I leaned closer. My heart began to accelerate for no obvious reason. "Looks like they might need more nitrogen," I remarked, attempting to keep my voice level. Jeff gazed at me softly but seriously. "Melanie, you know, I envy what you and Mark possess. Allison and I, 20 years into our marriage, we seem to have separated." His unanticipated honesty caught me off guard. "Every marriage has its ups and downs, Jeff. That's only natural." He nodded carefully. "It might be, but these days I sense something is missing." The fragility of his eyes really hit me. Before I could respond, his fingers gently grazed mine. A surge of shame mixed with unexpected excitement shot through me at the fast, innocent touch. Hastily pulling back, Jeff replied, sincere embarrassment in his voice, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overstep." I hesitated as my emotions were spinning. My immediate impulse was to withdraw, but another deeper need pushed me to offer compassion instead. "It's all right," I said gently, surprising even myself. "You are only being honest." Jeff looked up, his handsome features melting with gratitude. We had a quiet time together, gently but obviously acknowledging the pressure. Although I didn't exactly understand it yet, I felt really seen in a way I hadn't for years. Going back inside felt odd. Mark's familiar grin was reassuring, but it also had a new weight I couldn't yet identify. From across the room, I looked at Jeff and saw he had kept polite distance and had withdrawn inside himself. The night ended happily, though my thoughts were still knotted with the fragile complexity of what had just happened. Mark slept quietly beside me as I lay on the ceiling staring, my heart racing with questions. Had Jeff stirred something dormant inside me, or was my reaction just flushing from unanticipated attention? Could a brief period of connection really disturb the peace I had valued for decades? I came to realize with anxiety and curiosity that our pleasant, regular existence seemed abruptly lacking. But behind the turmoil, I experienced a personal awakening, like a delicate but definitely alive little bud opening to the first rays of morning. I didn't know it yet, but this unplanned evening was only the start of a road toward self-discovery, a road illuminated by quiet moments, lingering glances, and the wordless bond Jeff and I now shared. What lay ahead would test every limit we had painstakingly built, so pushing us both to confront long-ignored truths. And you won't believe what followed next. In the days following that wonderful supper, my life appeared outwardly unchanged. A silent discontent began to grow inside me, though, under the known rituals: morning garden walks, afternoon tea and a book, and evenings with Mark watching vintage films. Often, I found myself recreating that patio moment, Jeff's palm brushing mine and his unanticipated confession. Every memory stirred feelings I had almost forgotten. Though only for a moment, it had been years since I had felt so strongly seen or desired. Yet beneath the flood of these feelings was a knowing shame. I loved Mark very much. He was my husband, my longtime friend. But something about Jeff's sensitivity, his honesty, had touched a forgotten area of my heart. One lovely afternoon, I stood lost in contemplation among my beloved lilacs, gently cutting away faded blossoms. Usually my shelter, the garden was quiet and clear. Today, however, my thoughts would not settle. From the back porch, Mark's voice interrupted. "Melanie, you have a guest." My pulse sprang into my throat as I turned. Near Mark, Jeff stood comfortably dressed in a blue button-down shirt and jeans, his attitude nice but cautious. Though I forced myself to relax and greeted him with a steady smile, my heart raced immediately away. Jeff came slowly and softly said, "Sorry for dropping by unannounced. I was hoping to talk more about those roses, but if you're busy." "No, it's all right," I answered quickly, my voice showing some want. Mark smiled, completely unaware of the storm forming quietly between Jeff and me. Mark replied, "Back to the house. I'll leave you gardening experts to it." Jeff and I stood quietly together, our stillness thick with unspoken messages. Birds chirped joyfully all around us, oblivious to the tension crackling slowly behind our lovely veneer. Jeff finally cleared his throat to stop our peaceful standoff. "Melanie, I wanted to apologize once more for the other night," he began gently, every syllable dripping with sincerity. "I went too far and have felt bad about it ever since." Examining his face closely, I noticed genuine sadness in his blue eyes. A strange mix of relief and disappointment in me made my chest tighten. "You don't have to apologize," I softly said. There was nothing. He moved closer, nodded softly, and whispered barely above a whisper. My breath froze as Jeff's gaze locked directly on me. He spoke softly but honestly, choosing each word with care. "Melanie, I know it's wrong and I've tried to ignore it, but I can't stop thinking about you," he said softly. "Years have gone since I last had such a connection." A warm sensation rushed through me, soon followed by a shock of bewilderment. "Jeff, I'm contentedly married." Jeff answered gently, "I know. The last thing I want is to disturb your life, but I wanted to let you know you sparked something in me that I had forgotten was even conceivable." For a little while, quiet lay thick between us, broken only by the rustling leaves overhead. Torn between loyalty to Mark and the obvious attraction toward Jeff's honesty, my heart thudded loudly in my chest. I looked away, emotions clashing wildly inside me. I eventually said, "Your honesty is valued. I'll admit your words really affected me. We cannot act on this, though. It's not right for anyone." Jeff sighed, obviously battling his own inner struggle. He gently clasped my hand in his. It felt warm and soothing, and my fingers instinctively tightened around his. Gently, he told me, "I respect your decision. Should that be all we can have, all I want is your friendship." "That is plenty." I slowly nodded, even although the intensity in his eyes said otherwise. "Friendship," I whispered softly, letting go of his hand. Just that. The ensuing weeks were silent turmoil. Mindful to maintain boundaries, Jeff and I exchanged intermittent texts about weather, little conversation, or gardening tips. But every talk, no matter how little, discreetly increased our emotional connection. His texts both delighted and worried me. My heart raced at the thought of seeing Jeff again, this time in a crowded environment where our fragile tension could be difficult to hide. When the night came, the large ballroom was filled with calming music, sparkling lights, and finely dressed couples mingling elegantly. Mark led me in, gently touching my lower back with his hand, his presence calming, yet unaware of the inner struggle I was having. Jeff was directly across the room. Our eyes met immediately, igniting a fire deep in my chest. The four of us had natural conversation over dinner, but beneath the shiny laughing and polite talks, Jeff and I traded fast, stolen glances, each one full of quiet desire, and each little smile with more importance. After dinner, guests strolled onto the dance floor. Always the perfect gentleman, Mark reached out to Allison for a nice dance. They chuckled happily and moved with other couples beneath the shining lights, leaving Jeff and myself alone. As he discreetly reached out, Jeff's voice was smooth and inviting. We hesitated first. "May I?" Nervousness overwhelming me, I slowly put my hand in his and let him lead me to the dance floor. My heart raced, and the world shrank to hold only Jeff and me as we began to sway gently. "You look lovely tonight," he murmured gently, his voice warm and sincere. Unexpected emotion made my throat tighten and my cheeks heat. "Jeff?" I began softly, seeing the dangerous road we were approaching. We chose to remain friends. His glance was soft but determined as he stared into my eyes and drew back slightly. "Friendship doesn't stop me from seeing how great you are. It doesn't stop me from actually caring either." While we kept moving gradually together, our closeness was both comforting and painful. Every instinct drove me closer to this man who knew my secret self, even while my intellect shouted caution. Before I realized it, the music was over. Holding one another's gaze, we stopped to quietly acknowledge the fragile boundary we had crossed. "I shouldn't feel this way, but I can't seem to help it," I murmured hurriedly. Jeff's fingertips sent shivers down my back as they softly touched my cheek. I can't either, but we respect your decision. I promise. Heart heavy with need and uncertainty, I silently valued his respect, but was tortured by the intensity we both felt. Wearing a polite mask and smiling, I rejoined Mark and softly wondered how much longer I could deny the reality inside me. Little did I realize, the events of this night would drive our delicate relationship into an even greater difficulty, a discovery so unanticipated it would change the course of our lives forever. What followed is unbelievable. Days turned into weeks, each one deepening the great desire and confusion of my heart. I toiled really hard to conceal my feelings, to bury them under morning walks, gardening chores, and regular dinners with Mark. But Jeff's remarks gently resonated inside of me, awakening parts of myself I had not seen in decades. One rainy afternoon, as I went through old photos in our cozy sitting room, the familiar chime of my phone caught me off guard. Knowing obviously who it was made my heart race. Though brief, Jeff's message was strong. "Melanie, can we talk? I promise it's really important." Anxiety mixed with anticipation made my breath catch. I replied, "Of course." Whereat? Following a short break, he suggested a quiet coffee shop on the outskirts of town, a neutral ground where we could speak quietly but publicly enough to maintain respect for our marriages. My conscience troubled but anxious to understand his desire, I obliged, pulse racing with trepidation. Warm and welcoming, the cafe buzzed with the scent of fresh coffee and the soft hum of quiet conversations. Jeff sat at a distant corner table, hands tightly clenched, eyes flashing an intensity I had never seen. "Thanks for meeting me," he said quietly, gesturing for me to seat. His expression was serious. He appeared worried yet quite focused. Nearly hiding my worry, I asked quietly, "What is it, Jeff? Has something gone wrong? Has something gone amiss?" Silent suffering filled his eyes as he ran a hand through his silver hair and groaned loudly. "Allison knows." My heart raced in fear and my stomach dropped quickly. "Knows about us? Knows about us?" Jeff nodded slowly. "She experienced something at the gala. She confronted me yesterday. I couldn't lie, Melanie. I told her everything, how I feel, our discussions, even if nothing's truly happened." An ice frost gripped my heart as panic in my chest swelled. "Jeff, I'm at a loss for words." Gently, he offered, eyes pleading, "You don't have to say anything." But Allison and I had a major disagreement. I had to speak honestly with you and clarify what follows. What comes after that? Jeff softly held my hand to calm my trembling fingers. Although it increased my struggle, his touch was comforting. "Melanie, I told Allison I'd respect any choice you make. I promise I'll accept it if you choose to go. But if you feel even half of what I do, then we have to face it truthfully." His honesty was clear, his fragility somewhat endearing. Finding my voice was challenging, and tears pricked my eyes. "Jeff, you have stirred feelings I thought long buried. But Mark, for more than 30 years he has been my existence." Gently squeezing my hand, he looked at me with compassion. "I understand and would never urge you to betray that. But can you honestly deny the relationship we found? Shouldn't it at least be worth considering?" Torn between loyalty and desire, my heart ached. Deep down, I knew Jeff was right. The emotional bond we had created, quietly but powerfully, could not just leave. We owed the truth to ourselves and our marriages. Long after, I spoke carefully, my voice shaking with emotion. "I can't deny what I feel. You've revived memories of parts of myself I'd almost forgotten. but Mark's pain worries me. I don't want to lose him or hurt Allison as well." Jeff nodded, his face reflecting deep empathy. "I feel the same, but I also believe that in the end, hiding the truth brings greater pain. Maybe honesty would help us all figure out what comes next." Sitting in quiet thought, we absorbed the weight of his comments. Outside, the rain softly tapped on the cafe windows, mirroring our calm thinking. Relieved yet disturbed by the admission, I finally said, "I need to speak with Mark. He deserves honesty." Jeff gripped my hand gently. "Melanie, whatever happens, I'll be here, whether as a friend or anything more. I won't pressure you, but know you're not alone in this." Silent awareness carried us out, emotions twisted but clear. I rehearsed the chat I dreaded but knew was necessary as I drove home in the somber rain. Mark deserved the truth even if it hurt. I gained the courage to speak after dinner that night while we sat quietly together in the living room. My pulse raced frantically and anxiety in me. "Mark, I have to talk to you," I began gently, my voice betraying concern. As he carefully folded his paper, he glanced at me with mild concern. "Melanie, is everything all right?" Finding his familiar, calming eyes made me take a long breath and cry. Recently, something happened. Something unanticipated. Nothing bodily, but emotionally. I felt connected to someone else. His speech was mild but strained, and his expression was rapidly transforming from confusion to quiet suffering. "Jeff?" I hesitantly nodded, humiliation tightening my chest, surprised by his correctness. "Yes." Mark took a deep breath, his eyes serene but distant. "I observed something at the gala, the way you looked at him and the way he looked at you. I never meant for this to happen," I softly pled, tears streaming down my face. "Mark, you've been my whole life. I love you. But this feeling, it's awakened something intense inside of me, and I had to be honest." His eyes showed silent sadness as he studied me. Startling me, he after a minute stretched for my hand gently. "Melanie, I appreciate your honesty. You didn't hide this from me. You might have. That matters." His response surprised me and increased my guilt. "Mark, I'm really sorry." Soft but firm, he said no. "Being human is not anything to regret. Love changes over 30 years. People grow and change. Yes, but I understand. You too deserve sincerity." His grace and compassion left me feeling overwhelmed. My heart broke softly. I feel lost now. Deeply sighing, Mark gently held my hand. "I want you to be happy no matter what. Take your time to decide what your heart truly wants." His kindness shattered me gently, flooding me with gratitude but also more sorrow. I realized then that Mark's continual respect for me as a person was the true strength of our relationship. Sitting quietly together, the gentle ticking of the clock reminded me how brief, fragile, and precious our lives were. Mark's generosity had changed everything, revealing vistas I had never dreamed possible regardless of the future decision. As the tranquil twilight moved into the gentle darkness of night, I recognized the hardest decisions were still to come. Although the road could remain uncertain, honesty had given clarity, a path toward genuine self-discovery and development. But nothing prepared me for what came next. A last waking that would forever alter the trajectory of every one of our life. In the weeks following that honest, heart-wrenching conversation with Mark, life became odd. Every day seemed fragile, suspended between the comfort of the past and the uncertainty of the future. Mark and I spoke openly about our emotions, worries, and dreams in ways we hadn't done in years. Strangely, we grew closer by this honesty, therefore strengthening our bond even if our future was unknown. Jeff and Allison opted for therapy to explore their complicated emotions. They also made their own steps toward clarity. Jeff and I resolved to remain apart during this delicate period so that we could genuinely reflect free of expectation or pressure. On a beautiful afternoon, while I toiled in my garden, the one location that always provided me clarity, Mark quietly approached me with 2 cups of tea. He sat next to me and quietly handed the steaming cup. "Melanie," he began quietly, his voice steady but soft. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." Looking at his face, I saw both strength and weakness in him. Me as well. Mark grinned softly. His normal warmth comforted me. "I came to a major insight. Though based on love, our marriage is also built on friendship, respect, and integrity. And maybe, after all these years, we should allow one another space to pursue happiness, even if it calls for transformation." His honesty made me cry. "Mark, what are you saying?" His face reflected clear honesty as he softly took my hand. "I'm saying I love you enough to let you choose what your heart really wants, even if it means letting you look into your connection with Jeff. You deserve happiness regardless of the situation. So do we both." Sitting in my yard now, surrounded by vibrant flowers gently swaying under the warm air, I know well the reality of our path. Much like my garden, life calls for bravery, patience, and a willingness to change. Relationships are not defined by routines and obligations. Rather, so is sincerity, compassion, and respect. Sometimes, what first seems impossible leads us exactly where we need to be. I look toward the house where Mark chats casually with Jeff and Allison, laughter wafting softly toward me. Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories.